blessing for sure.
Justin, so in the intro, we mentioned that you're not the average 20-year-old. Has that mindset always been the mindset you've had? How did you shift from, man, I'm young, I'm good looking, I'm in shape, I can go out and sleep around and have fun and party every night? How did you shift that mindset from, no, this is the time where we have the least to risk, we don't have much to lose, we don't have a wife, kids, and so on.
Sure.
To being like, man, I have the most time, the least risk. This is a time to go all in. How did you make that shift?
Yeah, I would say, you know, like definitely a lot of YouTube has helped me, like, and the people that have surrounded me as well. A lot of great mentors that I'm thankful for has brought me to think differently as a 20-year-old. And it took time. It wasn't just like a quick, you know, in and out type thing, but like it definitely took time. And I'm thankful that I went through this process because, you know, I want to be different. Like, I think I've always been a little different in some aspect, like when I was growing up, which is all right. And I don't want to be an average, you know, just an average, you know, anyone, you know what I mean? So,
well, they say the average person is unfortunately overweight, divorced, and in debt.
Yeah.
So if you want to be average, then go join that club, right?
Yeah.
I think a lot of people in today's world, they find financial success much easier than like back then. You know, we have the internet and all this now, so we have a lot more tools at our disposal.
Sure, yeah.
But something that I think to me is even more inspirational than your business success is how faithful in God you are. I mean, I remember the first time we met, literally 2 months ago, and we had a great conversation. And it's like, yeah, I'm growing this business, and I have, 10-figure, billion-plus dollar goals.
Yeah.
But I'm doing it not for myself. I'm doing it for God. How did you get acclimated to being a man of God? And I mean, especially whether you're a 20-year-old or a 50-year-old entrepreneur, building a great, thriving business can oftentimes bring our ego out, can make us prideful.
Very, yeah.
How do you give that credit to God rather than being indulgent in self-pride?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I mean, I still struggle with that, dude, because, like, I mean, every day the world wants to, like, pull you in thinking, like, you're all that. I hate the word self-made. Like, it's a selfish word, like, terminology. Like, I think it's bogus, because in order to build something great, like, it takes people, and most importantly, it takes the Lord's, like, provision and hand and favor on you. And so I think it's really important that you know that none of this could happen without people, and most importantly, the Lord. And I feel like God puts favor on specific people for His purpose that He has for you, right? And for me as well. And I just got to be faithful and obedient to that, because I know I could lose it all just like that. You know what I mean? So I was thankful to grow up actually in a Christian family household. I treated, I think, knowing Jesus as like a religion rather than a relationship. About 2 years ago, that's totally shifted just by like meeting people like you, or just building a business, talking to customers, dealing with problems, staying accountable for things. And yeah, I've definitely learned a lot, like, to treat more like with knowing the Lord as a relationship rather than religion. And it's very easy for the world to like keep tugging on you, saying like, you did all this, you did all that. And I don't want people to know me for like, oh, building this big business, being a billionaire, because I want to do those things, but it's like, that's not what I want my identity to be. And so I want people to know me around the world, like knowing that I love Christ and I have a huge relationship with Him.
That's beautiful. Wow. I think that's something that I've heard oftentimes from people who have been very impactful in my journey as a young entrepreneur, as a young Christian entrepreneur, is taking spirituality from something I'm supposed to do, something that's religion. It's weird, because I've heard people say, I'll ask them, are you religious? And they're like, no, I'm not religious. I have a relationship with God. How do you shift that dynamic from something that I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to be good.
Yeah.
I'm supposed to, you know, do this, and this for God. I remember when we first met, you mentioned that you literally, I mean, you'll be, you know, in your car just talking to you, what looks like from, you know, an outside view yourself, but
Yeah.
you're talking just heart to heart with God.
Amen. Yeah.
Sometimes, I mean, for me, when I first started doing that, it was really awkward. How can someone shift that dynamic from being religious to actually having a strong relationship with God?
That's a good question. And I'm still like trying to figure it out for myself. But I feel like if you just treat knowing the Lord as like just any sort of relationship, like you and I as friends, or just, you know, a girlfriend, or when you're married or whatever, it's like any other relationship that you're building, and you just gotta keep it like really natural. Like, I'm not called to be perfect, okay? None of us are. But I'm called to progress. You know what I mean? If we progress every day, like, yeah, I'm gonna fail, I'm gonna fall short. But I think knowing that gives me the comfortability that I can mess up and still be loved by God. You know? And so that's why I'm like, you know, not chasing perfection, but chasing progression with the Lord.
Yeah. You mentioned you were brought up in a Christian household, and your dad has also, from my knowledge, been impactful in your businesses as well.
Yeah.
How have you been able to manage that dynamic as well, from, you know, dad and son to, you know, him helping you in your faith, him helping you in your businesses, being, you know, where you're kind of a partner, but you're also, you know, having that dynamic that he's the father, I'm the son. And obviously, like, we're both, you know, both of you are children underneath God, but how do you guys develop your guys' relationship with your dad from both a family standpoint and a business standpoint?
Yeah, no, that's good. I think the relationship that I have with my earthly father, my dad, it like has helped me grow closer with my heavenly Father, God, obviously. And you know, we still have our like fights and arguments, don't get me wrong, like just like anybody else would, or any family, but like we love each other to the point that we want to help each other so much, you know. And I'm thankful to have a dad, because I know there's not a lot of dads out there that will like actually spend the time to help their son, and that's how I see our Heavenly Father doing that to all of us. So it's giving me like a great perspective of what Jesus actually does with us every single day, because he loves us. And so I'm thankful for my earthly dad, because he's showed me a lot, and he's helped me with like building provision around like where the company, like how to build it, you know, his experience, who he knows relationship wise, like that's all helped me kind of get to this point. And you know, I really think the father that God blessed me with here has like totally transformed my relationship with Jesus Christ, because man, like I don't know where I would be, honestly, if I didn't have and I'm saying my mom too. My mom has been a great role model for me too. Like both my parents have just like been definitely blessings, even though like we go through hardships sometimes too. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Being 20 years old, 2 years ago, what you were saying is when you shifted from, you know, being spiritual or being religious to having a relationship with God. So 2 years ago, you would have probably been graduating high school, right?
Yeah.
Was there a single moment that flipped that switch for you, where you went from religious to having a relationship with God? Was there something specific that happened that made that happen?
No, that's good. I think it was not just one thing. I was saying it was multiple, for sure, because I was more on the quiet side in school, like super quiet. I didn't have as much hair. I was like buzz cut freak, 5'4", dude. I was tiny, and now I'm like, you know, 6 foot, 6'1", whatever. But like I grew a lot, right? Weighing 175, and I just was super quiet. Whether it was talking with people, girls especially. Oh my gosh, don't get me started. You know what I mean? But like, it's just it was difficult though, like to kind of shift, like being more confident. And I think just talking with more of the customers within my business has actually helped me, you know, talk better and more confidently with other people. And so I'm just it just took practice, like
Yeah.
just like anything else. It was just consistency. And so and as well as social media, like I do a lot of social media and you do too.
Yeah.
And so I think social media has definitely helped me like propel confidence in myself just by taking a video of myself, even if
Right.
it's trash and terrible. Like
Yeah.
I still did it and showed up every day to take a video.
Yeah.
And even if like I just really wanted to track, from where I was now and to see 4 or 5 years later of like, dang,
Yeah.
look at the progression there. So I think there's multiple ways of how I build that confidence.
Yeah, and I think it's good to do something bad rather than not do it at all, because no matter what you do, I'm sure when you started your business, you weren't at $1 million in revenue. You were probably at $10 in revenue cutting lawns.
For real, yeah, you're not making jack.
So it's always, you have to start bad. I mean, like for me, in my real estate business, we were just talking about, I've kind of automated it to the point where now I have my people who essentially almost run the business for me. Obviously, like I still need to be responsible, make sure nothing, no fires and whatnot.
Yeah.
But when I started, I was cold calling these sellers myself. I'm like, and I don't think anyone who's not making money, now I kind of, am more less serious about it. But no one that's not making money is like, fuck off, and they're like, oh, thank you. It kind of just it messes with you. But I'm thinking of one quote or one saying that I heard, which is like, just having money doesn't change you, it just brings out more of who you are. And so I'm thinking of the difference between building a business and building yourself personally. How do you balance when you're building this business that I'm sure takes a lot of your time? How do you balance building a business and building yourself into who you want to become personally?
Yeah, no, I think a lot of billionaires you'll see, or even multi-millionaires you'll see in the world, that are they might be really wealthy with their money. Probably don't have any money problems, but my gosh, they have some serious family problems, relationship problems. Everything else is terrible in their life. I had a mentor actually go over to Italy, and he met Jeff Bezos, and like it was 10-15 minutes or something. It wasn't anything crazy, but you could just tell like there's just something off in his heart that was not there. And so like he burnt a lot of bridges getting to where he's at. And I respect Jeff and like whatever he did, but like I could never live, a life, where it's like it's just literally all money. You know what I mean? It's all money and not anything else. You know what I mean? I couldn't even imagine, because his family hates him.
It's not fulfilling.
It literally, my mentor said his family just does not like him. Nobody likes him because, and I wouldn't see like a purpose there. I feel like it would be so dark and lonely. You know what I mean?
It's almost, I feel like the business is really where so we're oftentimes talking about distancing yourself from your business, like, or not distancing yourself, but like not making your business your identity. But I feel like once you get to that level, Bezos and your family hates you, you kind of have to. So it's just like, okay, but I don't really have a family anymore, but so I'm gonna have to keep growing and growing and growing this business, just because if I'm not, that it makes my self-worth, even if it's 200, I think it's actually in the trillions valuation or something, but like you just take your identity in it. So I don't know, you have to have, and I hate using the word balance, right? Because I don't think
we have to be careful. You have to be careful, like where your heart's going to. You know what I mean? Because
entrepreneurship is easy to, especially as a Christian, it's easy to not be Christian-like in business, especially if you want that $1 billion goals. And it's always like, oh, I want to be a billionaire. This, like, as a Christian, because I do as well. I want to be a billionaire so I can give back more. But you have to really be in touch with yourself. So,
no, that's good.
But so we were talking about how you have to start by being bad at something to get good. And I think about you on social media. Not that you're bad on social media, but I see you constantly out there posting on LinkedIn. That's, you know, a professional network of people. What has that led to for you, and has that played a role in your personal development, putting yourself out there? Because that's scary for a lot of people with anxiety and whatnot, to put themselves out there. What role has social media played on both your networking and your personal development?
Yeah, I'd say, like, what I like to post is something that brings value. I'm trying to bring value to people, but I'm actually trying to bring value to myself. Like, literally, whatever I post is literally just trying to help myself and remind myself something. So, yeah, it might help someone, it might not. That's all right. You know, I can't help everybody, you know what I mean? But, like, the least I could do is give back to people and at least try. And I just try to use, you know, the social media platforms, you know, all of them, to just seed plant around the world if I can, to get others to know Christ, if that's their decision, right? Like, I can't control that. Like, you know, but that's on them. And so I've LinkedIn, you know, Instagram, Facebook has definitely helped me just like remind myself where I'm trying to go. I try to do it every day, because those reminders of, you know, mess ups, problems, failures, going big, you know, doing great things, the successes, like, I always have to keep that and check it in mind, so I'm not forgetting, like, you know, the current purpose. Yeah.
And I think it's good for social proof, one, but also, I mean, I don't know, how long have you been creating content?
I'd say like 3 years now.
So I'm sure if you look back a year, 2 years, 3 years, like, dude, that content was horrible.
Oh, it's crazy.
But like, so it's really good to have that and see the growth.
Oh yeah.
And then, I mean, maybe a year from now, you'll look back at your content today and be like, what was that?
Dude,
right?
That's the thing. Like, I think the best content creators look back at their videos and literally just watch them. It's cringy as fudge, but like, those are I mean, Kobe Bryant did it with, like, when he was playing basketball for the Lakers, and he would watch his tape every single game he played, every game. To see how he can improve and get better.
Probably several times too.
Oh yeah. And I mean, we're talking hours upon hours. Who just watches tape? You know what I mean? It's like, that's true greatness right there. Like, finding the inequalities that you can figure out how to improve, like incremental steps. That's huge, and over time that compounds.
Excuse me. Going back to business a little bit. Excuse me. Wow.
You're good.
With my voice. I think it's, for me personally, when I look at it, it's like, it's much easier to build a business. But what I've seen from you is you are now buying businesses, which I feel like can be a lot harder. You have to deal with the structure. Do we want to do this as a stock deal, which obviously, like, you know, you're not dealing with like publicly traded companies, but do we want to do this stock, or do we want to do it cash? Do we want to do it, you know, some sort of owner financing? What's the valuation, and so on? So many different numbers and so many different metrics, and yada yada yada. How am I gonna take over? What's the takeover? 90 day, 180 day, 5 year, 10-year plan? How have you found yourself in this space of buying businesses from people who I assume, I could be wrong, but I assume they're much older than you? How have you been able to, one, get their respect? I assume it's a lot of proof of concept from your own business, and two, successfully acquired your first business, and we just mentioned you were looking to buy your second business, an established landscaping business in Florida as well.
I mean, part of it's just like, just doing it. Like, just doesn't matter how young or old you are, you just do it. And so, whatever credibility you got, I mean, I say now, like, I don't have too much credibility. I built this business, but like, I'm not gonna lie, I don't have the amount of credibility, like, for the deals that I want to do in the future. Like, I'm trying to reach billion-dollar deals, and in order to do that, I need to start now with you know, maybe some smaller deals to see how structurally I can build these businesses over time to create that credibility. And so, just part of it is literally just doing it, calling people, cold calling, just say, hey, you know, what's your 5 or 10 year plans? Like, I'm just a young entrepreneur. Just be honest with them. And just say, hey, you know, we could either talk about merging, or talk about how we could franchise this or
Yeah.
whatever, or buy you out, whatever your plans are. Like, everybody's different. So I just try to make it where I'm like trying to help them and their needs, because it's their own life, it's their own
Yeah.
business, and like I want it to align it to their goals, you know.
How have those conversations gone for the most part? I assume like a lot of them are like kind of weirded out at first, but then maybe you have some good conversations.
Yeah, I mean, I've talked to anywhere from, $500,000 to $5 million companies, and we've looked
Revenue?
at, yeah, revenue wise. And so, I mean, I've looked at all of those, and none of them has worked out. And some of the times it's just like real estate. You gotta look at 100 deals just to find that right
Yeah.
one. And I want to make sure my reputation is gonna be safe
Yeah.
with finding the deal. And it's all right to say no. Like,
Yeah.
it's all right to say no to the deals, even though you reached out. It's all right to say no.
Yeah.
Because it's your butt on that line.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I don't know. It's
And
just
in real estate, we typically, I think it's for us, we make 10,000 cold calls for like one deal.
dude.
So,
Exactly. Like,
yeah.
it's a lot of volume before you actually get a deal.
Yeah.
It's not easy, but like, it's just a consistency, just like anything else. And yeah, I've gotten people that have said no. Like, believe me, some act like they're pissed off and like,
Yeah.
get the
Well,
fudge
yeah.
away from me.
Yeah.
Like, why are you
Yeah.
calling me? It's like, but I'm just, generally asking these people, like, what's your 5-10 year goals and plans?
Right.
Like, I'm trying to create relationships and not like,
And do you do that over the phone, or do you do that once you've met them in person usually?
typically, like, I mean, it depends. Like, I'll do both.
Because I assume like when you first call them, you're talking to a sales rep or something too.
Yeah, so like what I'll try to do is I'll call the company number and just be like, hey, I'm just looking for the owner, a message to the owner, can I have their email or whatever. And most of the time they won't respond. They'll be like, frick you,
Right.
whatever, or what do you want, like,
Right.
and then most of the time they'll say no. But there's definitely some interest and yeses, and follow up too is huge. I think if you don't get responses, don't give up, keep following up. I'd say definitely like 3 or 4 times, just keep following up and show up consistently so they see that you're actually interested.
Yeah.
And they'll see your name and they're like, what's up with this guy? He keeps showing up. So like, that's what you want to show up as for people, because
Consistency.
yeah, the consistency and the persistence is huge, because
Yeah.
when you're trying to reach a goal, there's gonna be a lot of kickback on you. Like, there's gonna be a lot of adversity, a lot,
Yeah.
and it takes time.
What I found is you have to go through. I literally told someone a couple months ago, like, dude, I enjoy when times are hard more than I enjoy when times are good, because
Yeah.
oftentimes when times are hard, that's when you're growing the most. So
Yeah.
and then also I think of mentors, especially being 20-year-old entrepreneurs, mentors both in a spiritual sense, a business sense, and so on. And I think that's something that you've done a good job at, is from what I've seen, is you've surrounded yourself with some really good mentors who are ahead of you in spiritual and business sense. But one of the things I've found is it's very, very easy for people that are around us to be like, oh man, you're doing such a great job, yada, yada, yada. And like, you're above average, but you're so far, and I'm talking to myself right
Yeah.
now, you're so far.
Sure. Yeah.
Even though I know what your goals are too, but you're so far, I'm so far from where I want to be.
Mm-hmm.
That's like, man, I don't want people to just, it brings me no value for you to tell me how good I'm doing.
Yeah.
And oftentimes too, it's kind of hard to take it in. It's hard to take a compliment. But what I found is that the most valuable people are those that are willing to both be kind. I sent someone a text the other day. I said, kindness is great, but kindness paired with candor is transformative.